Welcome to the battlefield. You're watching Wrestling Reality Hub, your front row seat to WWE mayhem. Subscribe and let's drop kick into the headlines. Stephanie McMahon is one of wrestling's most recognizable figures, not because she sought a spotlight for its own sake, but because her life has been lived at the intersection of family legacy, corporate responsibility, and on-screen storytelling. Raised inside the McMahon orbit, she learned early that professional wrestling is as much a business and a brand as it is a spectacle, and that lesson shaped every role she would later inhabit, from merchandise clerk to executive to occasional on-camera protagonist, giving her a perspective that blends boardroom discipline with a promoter's instinct for narrative. Family legacy in early years. Born into a family whose name is synonymous with modern pro wrestling, Stephanie's upbringing was unusual by any standard. She spent childhood weekends around arenas, summer nights in production trucks, and teenage afternoons in the merchandise warehouse. And while that environment offered access and expectation, it also demanded apprenticeship. She wasn't simply handed authority. She learned inventory systems, retail operations, and the nuts and bolts of a touring entertainment business. Lessons that grounded her later decisions and gave her a fluency in both the creative and logistical sides of the company. Rising through the ranks, Stephanie's vocational arc was not a short leap from surname to C-suite. It was a series of roles that exposed her to different facets of the enterprise: creative development, branding, sponsorship, and eventually corporate strategy. And though critics have occasionally suggested her family ties smoothed her path, those who worked alongside her often point to a pattern of learning on the job, absorbing the operational headaches no one else wanted, negotiating television deals, and helping to modernize brand partnerships in ways that reflected an understanding of audience, media, and commerce rather than mere entitlement. Power, partnerships, and influence power within the WWE ecosystem has always been as much relational as formal, and Stephanie's influence was shaped by both her family connections and the partnerships she cultivated, including professional alliances with executives, producers, and creative talents. Her marriage to Paul Levesque, Triple H, added a public dimension to that dynamic, creating a powerful professional partnership that blended creative leadership with corporate oversight, a union that supporters see as complementary skill sets and skeptics sometimes cast as consolidation of influence. But either way, it changed how decisions were made and who was listened to in the hallways of power. Championing women's wrestling. One of Stephanie's most publicly lauded legacies is the role she played in elevating women's wrestling from occasional novelty matches to a central, marketable element of WWE programming. That transformation involved advocacy, reimagining match structures, pushing for different storytelling, and giving top female athletes bigger platforms, even while the path forward required negotiation and patience. Some inside the industry critiqued the pace and questioned the motives behind certain creative choices, but the broader effect was undeniable. Women's bouts moved from second-class status to headline events, and a new generation of performers benefited from the visibility and investment that followed. Personal struggles and resilience. Behind the executive titles and scripted feuds, Stephanie's personal story includes moments of pressure and vulnerability that are easy to overlook when viewing her through a public persona. She has talked candidly about the anxiety of expectations, the demands of raising a family within an always-on business, and the loneliness of leadership, experiences that humanize a figure sometimes caricatured by media narratives. And those struggles have, for many observers, been a source of resilience, prompting efforts to balance high-stakes work with personal priorities, even as the public watched each transition unfold. Controversies and criticisms. Like any public leader who has presided over a vast entertainment machine, Stephanie's tenure included controversies and creative missteps that generated legitimate debate. Certain storylines and corporate decisions drew backlash for tone deafness or for the ways they blurred fiction and reality. Labor and creative disputes surfaced at times, and some former performers voiced grievances about management choices. Responsible coverage of her career must acknowledge these criticisms without sensationalizing them, recognizing that in a company that traffics in narrative extremes, the line between dramatic spectacle and real workplace harm can be complicated, and that accountability and learning are part of any mature organization's evolution. Legacy and what comes next. With changes in corporate structure and periodic shifts in her public role, questions about Stephanie's legacy naturally follow. Will she be remembered primarily as an heir who modernized a legacy brand, a corporate leader who helped navigate media transitions, or as a sometimes polarizing figure whose on-screen actions blurred with executive decisions? The honest answer is that her imprint is multifaceted. She helped shepherd the brand into new media arenas, contributed to elevating women performers, and participated in a family story that is inseparable from the industry's contemporary shape. And what comes next for her will likely be a continuation of that blend of public work and private choice, whether that means advocacy, creative projects, or time away from the daily grind. Conclusion. Stephanie McMahon's story resists tidy categorization. She is neither a simple beneficiary of inheritance nor merely a corporate operator. She is a person whose public life reflects the complicated demands of legacy, leadership, and entertainment. And if one seeks a fair appraisal, it must encompass her measurable contributions to the business, the legitimate critiques of certain choices, and the very human realities of balancing ambition with family and personal well-being. In short, she is emblematic of an industry that both builds myth and must constantly answer for its impact on the people who make those myths possible.